am I like allowed to, continue eating breakfast, or are there any rules I should be aware of?
All you have to think about is this: the podcast is audio and video, so any food that falls out of your mouth
That's my hair.
It could be clipped and made into like a.
That could be my LinkedIn famous thing. So this is where I'm hanging out. If it gets really loud, and I don't think it will.
No, if it does, it just gives it's ambiance, which people love.
This is my natural habitat for 40 hours a week. So
it's so generous with the under-reporting of your time there.
You like how this conservative estimate. It's okay. I think I knew what I was signing up for when I was like, of course, Felipe, like just chat about whatever for an hour. Why wouldn't we?
Yeah, why wouldn't you? It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
Any challenging things that you've recently gone through that, like a cool little story you want to share?
I think something that was really cool for me personally and Flintco as a company, we've been training internal subject matter experts for about 5 years now, almost 6. And like it's been this community, it's intended, to be this 12-month, like you're going to be a lean coach for 12 months and then rotate off and pass it on. And it had that is not the way the program has shaped up at all. But what's cool about last week is we did our first continuing education event. So the coaches that have been part of the program and continue to stay engaged with the program and mentored other teams, like they all got to come back and, back into the classroom. And, we spent 2 days together plus a team building event. And just hearing the conversation, from where we started with first training, which was like, here's what lean is. Here's what a weekly work plan is. Here are the individual elements, to all the things that we're talking about today, which was more focused on here's how you can coach a team that's dealing with this, or here's how, trade partners, we deal with it. Like just the advancement of that conversation and seeing what we're talking about, as representative of the company, like it was personally so rewarding that happened, that it all just came to fruition after 5 years of hard work. So it makes me really excited for the next 5 years and so on and so forth.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's I'm proud of you. That's such a great accomplishment too.
It was really cool. It's like, that little seed of like, okay, we can totally, the folks in operations at the end of the day, like they're the ones that should be experts in putting lean in place on a job. And like, we've achieved that. So it's really cool. Really cool. Yeah. We had assistant superintendents who have now been promoted to superintendents. Or in some cases there's, been office engineers who have gotten promoted up and, are on the path of promotion again. Part of the group, was a superintendent, has moved to a senior superintendent. And we have, and most of this group was actually superintendents. We did, show of hands, and I think about 70% of them were, more field side, but then there's also been project management side where either, they've started out as an OE or a PE and they've gotten promoted. So not everybody had been promoted in the group, but a lot of them had over the past 5 years. So that's cool as well.
That's super rewarding.
Yeah.
Just start telling people like, warning, working with this group might result in your promotion. More money in your check every week is your problem.
It would be a good sales pitch, but it's also really cool to see like the company recognize that effort as well. Not just, they're part of the lean clique. Like, no, it's the company's like initiative and rewarding your initiative.
Yeah, those individuals they can contribute at a higher level with the tools that they have, thinking and the mindset that they have. And it's like you said, they went from just surface level awareness to now they're coaching other people.
Yeah.
It's sustained.
Yeah.
You've hit the cycle, like you've closed the feedback loop and they're continuing to reap the benefits all the time. Oh my God. Oh yeah. I'm getting goosebumps,
right?
Like right here. Oh yeah.
Like it's super cool. So
if I had the ability to play sound effects,
hypothetically,
I might hypothetically play something like this for you.
Well played. Well played. See what I did there? I need to get that sound effect app. I like it. Like it feels like a well-chosen sound effect. Could always liven up the conversation. So I learned a new term this morning, Goblin Mode. Ooh. As in Elon Musk posted an uncredited meme, that whenever, I guess he was saying whenever he bought all those, shares in Twitter and whatnot, he was in, it was like a Breaking Bad meme, and said, my client was in Goblin Mode. And I was like, I have learned a new term. So are you familiar with the term Goblin Mode?
No, I am not.
So I guess what it means is when you're in Goblin Mode, maybe hygiene and normal social interaction isn't quite the thing. I'll attributed this article to the website Futurism, by the way, which is a very interesting website. And so apparently you might wear the same outfit multiple days in a row, or maybe all those other societal niceties. And I was like, okay, I feel like maybe I could get behind this term, not, in a professional environment, but like Goblin Mode, like it's so descriptive. So
it's like when we were in college and we were studying for finals.
Yes.
We go into Goblin Mode. Like you open up your dorm room, you're like, whoa, like a puff floats out into the hallway.
Yes.
You've been locked up for days writing papers and
like, no, you should just shut that door.
Love it. See, those conversations already meandering perfectly.
Wonderful.
I'm going to kick it off now. Just to get you ready.
Hey, make sure other people know about Goblin Mode. I feel, according to Futurism, this is going to be a mainstream term. So,
Promise. It'll be kept in.
Welcome to the EBFC show, the easier, better for construction podcast. I'm your host, Felipe, Engineer Manriquez. This show is all about the business of construction.
Today's episode is sponsored by
Bosch Refine My Site is a cloud-based construction collaboration platform that applies lean principles to enable your entire team to plan, communicate, and execute in real time. It's the digital tool that works in tandem with your last planner system process and puts it all together in one simple, collaborative ecosystem. This easy-to-use platform is available in English, German, Spanish, Portuguese, and French, and can be used on desktops, tablets, and mobile devices. According to Spencer Easton, scheduling manager at Oakland Construction,
Refine My Site, in my opinion, is the best, leanest tool on the market for last planner system.
Here's what our users have to say. We've looked at 3 other digital scheduling platforms and none compare to the straightforward approach Refine My Site takes. From milestone planning all the way down to daily tasks, this program gives every general contractor and their trade partners meaningful collaboration, accountability, and KPIs. Register today to try Refine My Site for free for 60 days.
Today's show is also sponsored by the Lean Construction Institute. LCI is working to lead the building industry in transforming its practices and culture. Its vision is to create a healthy and thriving industry that delivers outstanding project outcomes every time for everyone. Check the show notes for more information. Now, to the show.
Welcome to the show, Melanie Gilbertson. Melanie, I've been a fan of yours longer than I think you've even recognized me as a human being. Surprise!
What a compliment.
I don't know, like in real years, it'd probably be like a decade ago, but who knows?
Well, considering 20 to 21 was like 10 years in and of itself, it feels like. So
absolutely.
That seems right.
And when we met, I was giving some kind of talk on probably something lean related. And
no doubt. Yes.
You were in the audience, but I'd met you through helping to organize the event. Mm-hmm. You asked a question just at the end on some random thing. I think we might have been fighting with the superintendent about issue tracking logs for.
Okay. Yes.
And I don't remember what your answer was, but I was just like, "You need to stay after class, miss, because we have more to talk about."
Well, I was hoping you could give me like the script of it, because I'm like, I mean, I remember, meeting in the class and talking about constraint logs, the pros of the log versus incorporating it within. No, it's just part of your schedule, which to this day, like I see your point. Like I know the log is easy, but if you just get it in the schedule, like
then there's no log.
Really, yeah, that's where it belongs because
Right.
it's just something to do.
You saw Heather knock my glasses off with an elbow.
I did.
Yeah, in a parking lot after we almost got hit by a car.
And I recall, so that was early days of, maybe not too early, but the LCI Oklahoma chapter. And I think I had just gotten the title of lean manager. Maybe I was still quality assurance manager, but like working on lean. So showing up, driving from Tulsa, it was like a 100-mile journey, to be there at 7:00 in the morning. Those were good times.
Yeah, so worth it.
Yeah, it was worth it. Like, and that was some good agility that day because if I recall correctly, we couldn't like get in the door or whatever. The right person to unlock it wasn't there, so we're meeting outside.
We were locked out, and we still started. Anyway.
Yeah, we still started anyway, and an Elmo went flying in the first 5 minutes.
I've since moved on from that pair of glasses that got scratched on the asphalt or the gravel.
How long did you keep them?
Oh, I kept them for a while.
Why wouldn't you?
They weren't scratched up. They're anti-scratch.
Well, that's good.
I prepared. I live a rough life.
Elmo made an impression that day.
Flush owls can be dangerous if used by Heather. I mean, that's a lesson I learned.
Yes, she's got roller derby in her background. I'm just saying.
She does. She body checked me one day. We were in Phoenix. Like, let me show you what it's like in roller derby. And I got body checked into a building
by somebody like half your size, no less.
Yeah, literally half my size. I flew I think I moved 6 or 8 feet into a marble wall of a hotel. Just we were walking by.
That feels like a near miss almost.
I did put my hands out so that my glasses didn't get crushed against the wall structure because I had learned from the last time.
Yes. Yeah. This is PDCA in action right here. Like, well played.
People, this is us talking about closing that feedback loop. This is exactly what we're talking about. It's just
like learn and improve, like go on down the road. No, so circling back to that LCI event, meeting in Oklahoma City, that's also how Heather and I met.
Oh wow!
Because
coincidence.
Yeah, it worked out really well for me and Flintco because obviously if we hadn't met, she wouldn't be working here today. So she probably would, but it makes it a lot easier when you know somebody for 2 years before you're like, so I think you'd be a great fit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's been good times. It's been cool.
Yeah, we're not even going to say her last name so that people just some random Heather we were talking about. But Anyway, Melanie, please tell the good people of the EBFC show a little bit about yourself. And people listening, give us some comments and feedbacks and likes in all the places this video propagates because we like to react and respond to your feedback. Your feedback is key for people like us. Thank you. Thank you.
True statement. Felipe, I love your radio voice, by the way. It's solid.
I'm glad. I'm here to soothe and satisfy all that want to listen to Radio Felipe FM.
So I'll start with instead of telling you about work side, we'll start with personal side. Yes. So Melanie Gilbertson, Melanie Lynn Gilbertson, if you want my middle name. So there you go. That's all the details you need. Yeah.
Explains a lot now.
Yeah. Right. So grew up in Dallas. Moved to Oklahoma to temporarily, I thought it was temporarily at the time, to go to Oklahoma State University. And I've been here ever since.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. No, I really love Oklahoma. I thought I would go back to Dallas because of like professional opportunities. Obviously there's a ton of construction companies there, but no, ended up staying here. My husband and I have lived in Tulsa. Well, I guess we've been together for 17 years and 2 of those were in college. So we've been in Tulsa for 15 years. We've been married for 14 years. Lived in the same house, which I think is somewhat of a rarity these days, right?
It is rare.
Yeah. In that interim, like love spending time outside. So have a big garden. We have small property. It's like 2.5 acres, but we spend a lot of time doing manual labor on it. A lot of work as well. We also recently got into, I feel like I'm talking about mutual hobbies, but we get along really well. So we have a lot of the same hobbies, to be fair. Yeah. But we bought a Jeep a few years ago. We've been into hiking for some time, and then we bought a Jeep so we could like go more places and see more things. And the Jeep's actually been a whole lot of fun because like we've put a lot of upgrades into it, and it's something we've done together. So yeah.
How lifted is it? That's just
so it's only got a 2.5-inch lift on it, but it's got 37-inch tires.
Yeah.
So I gotta push off to get into it, but that's okay. And we actually last year we bought a teardrop trailer as an off-road trailer that we now tow behind the Jeep, so we can go on even more adventures. Yeah, so that's been how we spend our free time lately.
We need people listening to this. If you're looking to get Melanie a gift, what could you give to somebody that has everything? Get her
national park pass.
National park pass, number one, and get her a drone so that we could get some drone footage of this teardrop trailer on a path like deep in the woods.
Yes,
somewhere crossing like a river or a little gully.
I am also amateur video editor, but absolutely like GoPro comes out and like, ooh, we're gonna film this great thing. I don't think I'm any great, editor or anything like that, but I'm entertained by our videos. So that's really what matters, right?
All that matters.
Yeah. Plus, I think video is good, like video editing in particular, and understanding how that works. Like, I feel like that's going to be a massive form of communication in the future. Like, people should just kind of know how that goes. Exactly, right? Like, that's how I like. If I want to know how to do something, I'm going to look it up on YouTube. So it's just it feels like something we should be well versed in. So yeah. Anyway, so getting to know me personally. There you go. And then professionally, Director of Production Support at Flintco. This is the third position I've held with Flintco. I started out as a quality assurance manager with a lean focus, then transitioned to lean manager full-time, and our team grew and the program grew. And then just this past January, so just a few months ago, got the director position. And so now production support covers scheduling and lean with options for growth. I don't know what those options are. Like that's still, it's just roaming around up there. But it's really cool to have, a huge part of, our lean program focuses on last planner system and production scheduling and making that effective. So it just felt like a natural fit, to combine lean and scheduling together with those efforts. But I haven't always been in that support function. Before I joined Flintco, look at me, like I'm pole planning my entire career here. Yeah. I'm going backwards.
Yes, you are.
I spent 9 years in operations with another company. So, got some really good field experience there. That was for a company here in Tulsa, but worked on a ton of different projects on all different sizes. And then, joined that was the only company I worked for until Flintco out of college. Graduated from Oklahoma State with a construction management degree. But that was not my first major. Actually started out, I thought I wanted to be an architect from like the time I was 10. So that was the goal all the way up until about 2 years into school. I was like, so this whole design thing, like I'm not feeling it. I don't think it feels me either. Like I was getting B's regardless, and I'm total A student. So I was like, what's this B business? And at the same time, the guy I was dating, not my current husband, his dad had a construction management degree. And I didn't even know that was a thing. Yeah. Like, I thought, oh yeah, like trades go out and it's all of this, field expertise. Like there's no professional degree in this. Come to find out there is. So yeah, so I made the switch and here we are.
here we are.
Yeah.
And at some point during all that time, you found time to study and learn about William Edwards Deming, which I know we have in common. Where did that happen?
Yes. I guess that would happen. That would happen probably when I was in operations. My first lean project was in 2009, and
same. You have that in common.
Right? Like, it doesn't feel like that long ago, frankly. Like, I know adding up the years, it's more than my 10 fingers, but like, didn't feel that long ago. I didn't learn about it then though. Like, that was the system that we put into place on my first lean project. It was like a conglomerate of all the different last planner steps into one. So it was interesting. But it was successful enough with that conglomeration that kept doing it. Like, I was interested enough to try and convince other project teams to do it. And somewhere along the way, the company I was working for created a task force about lean practices to, okay, what makes sense for this company? What do we learn more about it? And I think that's where Deming came into play. And so that idea of like plan, do, check, and adjust, it's so simple, right? Like,
so simple. Yeah.
So simple. You can tie anything back to it. Like, one of my favorite questions the last couple meetings that I have set up, over the last year or so has been like, and what's the cadence for checking and adjusting on what we're doing today? Like, chances are it's not a one and done thing. So like, how, are we checking in on this 6 months from now? And, is that the check and adjust cycle, or where does that come in? So if you're not doing that, folks, you should be.
That's your first nugget right there, people. Actually, it's like the 25th nugget. We're not giving points out, but if we were, Melanie's already in the leaderboard.
Yes.
Just watch out. Yeah.
Yes. Moving on up. That's all I got to say.
It's confirmed.
Yeah.
No, I like
awesome.
that you just make it so simple and asking that easy question about what is the frequency of the check-ins. You're closing the loop for a lot of people. A lot of stuff that we do, and it's not just limited to the construction business. This is true of all businesses. People fail to close that loop and see, like, are we on the right trajectory where we want it to be?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're not, what do you do? Well, you'll know what to do if you just look back and see, where did you want to be?
Yeah. But you got to have that conversation about where, like, again, begin with the end in mind. Like, where is it you want to go to begin with? And if you set some parameters around that, what's your definition of done? Like, it makes it a lot easier. And I am all for making things simpler and easier, or easier and better, as some might say.
Somebody, extra credit. Get the show in. Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
This is looking to be like a very sound effects heavy, possibly interview.
Ooh. Well, that's okay.
It's like when we get back to the script of where we're going to be, I'll be like, I'll look back to the regularly scheduled EBFC show.
Well, Felipe, I was going to say, there are questions related to this.
Yeah. Welcome, contestant to Melanie Gilbertson, all the way from Oklahoma, hailing from originally Dallas, Texas.
That's right.
That's awesome. So you go through all that, you do that training, you stayed very consistent. Clearly, you have a growth mindset. You're addicted to learning.
Thank you. That is a true statement. Yes.
It's a fact. And it has not stopped. You continue to play and dabble in different areas and things. And I want to say, like, the universe actually yielded some fruit here recently. Mm-hmm. You and I got to work together.
Yes.
And co-lead a pool planning session, which, I mean, I was just like in
super fun.
Yeah, it was so much fun. What do we have? Like
super fun.
We'd have like 50 people, 60. I don't know. How many people did we have roughly?
At least there were. Well, the room had more than 30, which I think was like the original seat plan. And I want to say there were like at least 10 more, maybe 20 more people. So
maybe we'll call it 40 people.
Yeah. Conservative.
40 people, and only one or two besides us that were actual last planners, had last planner experience, which was phenomenal.
Or at least spoke up enough that they gave us evidence they had been through it before. I think there were a few, silent folks who were like,
some sleepers.
Oh yeah, a group that large, you gotta be like, and I, as an introvert, like I totally recognize it. Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
But I wanted to share that I learned something from you in that. As for the decade I've been doing Last Planner, I've only seen in design taking the time to really detail with the group what the milestone was, but write it down.
Yeah.
And you were like, at the last second, we were, of course, Millie and I were planning how we were going to do this. We planned the day before.
Yeah.
And we re-planned again in the morning, knowing what we learned from the day before to the morning, because things change, people. Things will change. And so we replanned. And then Melanie said, what if we do this? And I was like, oh, let's try that. And which you've done it before.
Yeah.
I think it paid dividends. I actually went back to that milestone summary in a later meeting, Melanie. In a later meeting, people were asking questions about what done will be for this phase. And I was just like, oh, let me just check. And I went, oh, so-and-so said this, and here it is. And then they were like, oh yeah, and that prevented a team from doing a whole bunch of unnecessary work. Which
wonderful.
Value added, baby.
Completely agree. And bonus, knew where to find the pictures, because I did not make any sort of fancy document.
Absolutely.
Wrote it out, took a picture, posted it. Here you go. Yeah.
Melanie even went on vacation in between the end of that to the time that I had to use the stuff. And she was so kind as to, in seconds, text me the photos and remind me that they were in the place, the most obvious place for the team, which due to my not making time for onboarding, I didn't know that they were already here. I've gone back to where they are multiple times.
This even better. I like knowing that they're in a place where you can remember where to go.
They're getting
that's a personal win. That's good.
They're paying dividends, Melanie.
And it's funny about that. And I remember talking about this. It was so we could avoid this step because we had a very compressed time frame, right? Yep. And at the same time, I feel like I'm tempted to do so maybe once a year or so. It's like going to Long John Silver's. You need, just enough of a time frame to be like, oh, this is why I don't eat here anymore. Right? So
no offense, Long John Silver's.
No offense, Long John Silver's. If maybe they want to sponsor you. I don't know. But straight up, every time I've been tempted to cut that step out, or oh, everybody knows what we're doing, because people will tell you oh, no, they all understand what the dry end milestone is, to put it back in terms of production. No, why would we assume that? Let's just get it out on the table and have that conversation. And so I've always been sorry when I've skipped it. I've never been sorry when we've done it. So there's my pro tip. Write down your definition of done. Chances are you will come back to it.
that is so powerful. So anybody listening, if you're in any kind of scheduling meeting and you're using whatever tool, heaven forbid you're using P6 or only P6, excuse me. Heaven forbid you're only using P6 or Reich, just to throw out some other names, or Microsoft Project. I don't want to just let people think there's one way, or Excel. You could do Excel too. And if you don't write down, expand the summary of what that milestone is, because usually a milestone is 5 words, 3 words. That's not descriptive enough. It doesn't give a sense of what's in this. And your team is very likely a brand new team where this is the first time you're all working together and you have different vocabulary. So get it out on the table, like Melanie said. People, give yourself a solid. It is worth the time. It has helped our team multiple times over the course of a month to not make things that nobody wants.
Yes, nobody likes wasting their time.
Right.
Let's be real. And I think it's even it's probably the most critical in design is understanding, okay, the contractor is expecting some sort of deliverable, what should be in it and what shouldn't be in it.
Right.
And if there's something that you haven't heard the contractor ask for, but you think would be a good idea, ask the question. Don't just assume. And then we all learn something. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of like, I want to know why about everything. So I'm just going to ask, but I know not everybody is that way. So
nope. Some people don't have that patience and they just want to start getting to doing the work. I'm like, but what are you rushing to do?
Yeah.
If you're rushing to do busy work just so you can feel like you're busy. Like we need to check that anxiety. Let's all take a deep breath, come back to center. The project is still going to go. Like you're going to have delays. And if I always tell people, like, I didn't realize and appreciate this, Melanie, until I was on a job that went, over schedule, and we went to court, litigated.
Yeah.
And I realized there's so many times analyzing the past schedule where we thought something was like super critical, and we worked until like 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. We worked Saturdays and Sundays, and then we still it didn't give us anything at the end. 12 years of litigation.
Ooh.
And I just kept thinking, like, all those times I thought this was like the most important critical thing, and I sacrificed like family time, personal health. And if I just would have stopped and thought about giving myself like even an hour to plan the work, I could have avoided all that nonsense.
Yeah.
Completely avoidable. But apparently some of us have to learn the hard way.
Yeah, I think one of the best tools that has like helped me with this biased action, because I'm totally like, once a decision is made, like, decision made, like we are going down that path. Probably because I spend a lot of time deliberating the decision, and then, okay, now it's time to move. But I think A3s, like that, the problem solving process, and not necessarily the documentation, but the problem solving process of developing that A3, especially taking time to, okay, what is the current state? Like, I'm not just going to assume I know what the problem is, but what is the current state? Then what's our goal? And that analysis step, like that whole left side of the page before you move on to the right side of the page where the action is, like, that's such a critical piece of like slowing down and understanding, like, just what is it I'm trying to accomplish here? So if you guys don't take time to do A3s, like, one of my personal like favorite tools for really understanding the problem, precisely because it's helped me eliminate some of that bias to action that we're prone to as humans.
Right. I love that. And people, if you're listening to the show, check the show notes. We've written a blog post about A3s with some template examples and some tips so you could get started. I've helped people, Melanie, that have never had A3s create one in less than 10 minutes. Not finished. They stay on the left side, and you're gonna love this. We had the last group of people I did this with. They said, we realized when we were doing the current state that we don't know enough information. We have to go see this process. And I was just, I almost fell on the ground. I was like, oh, but before they started, they were like, they had the answer.
But do you?
And then when they went through the process, they're like, oh my God, we don't really know what the problem is. And I was like, yes, so worth it. I know.
Yes. No, and I think that's great advice, because honestly, I think the best way to learn how to do A3s is to do them. Like, that's how you get better. That's how you get better at anything, frankly. But like, just go do it. Like, don't sit there and think about it. Oh, well, I'll do this next week. Like, no, just like start putting your thoughts down. Like, it's fine. Nobody's grading you on it.
Yeah, and even if you like write it down on a whiteboard or a piece of spare paper. I've taken like junk mail and like just flipped over the letter offering me like 0% APR and just like started an A3 on the back of that. Yeah, you can do all kinds of cool stuff with it.
So I travel with you can see it here in my travel folder right here. I actually
ladies and gentlemen,
this is me.
Travel folder.
I do. I travel enough. Like, I travel with a blank A3 just in case the mood strikes when I'm on the plane and whatever.
Just in case the mood strikes.
Hey, I am totally one of the like, the plane time is thinking time. So like, you never know what, random thought is going to occur that like, I have 2 hours without Wi-Fi. Like, here we go. Let's put our thoughts down.
That's amazing. 2 hours without Wi-Fi whips out the blank A3. Like,
What do you do for fun?
I'm gonna think about that. I've got a flight later today, and I'm like, and this is the moment where if I had that blank A3, the mood has struck, and I'm
maybe you bring your junk mail. Like you don't have to have the fancy template.
I also have a travel folder that I travel with that has an A3. My A3 template is just blank. There's nothing in it. Nice. Sometimes my thought process, I don't know if you know this, but I tend to talk a lot, and my A3s start the same way, where the left side becomes page 1, page 2, and then later I consolidate it, but they almost always start out like a page and a half, and then I consolidate all that left side stuff.
Oh yeah. Like you gotta distill it down to like, all right, what's really gonna, tell other people, at least that's the criteria I always use. Like, how am I gonna tell people the most pertinent point that really says this is why this is a problem?
Right.
Because there might be some detail. I don't know if this ever came across, but I guarantee it has. Like, I'm a very detail-oriented person.
People, we were at an event, and I was like, at the moment that I thought it'd be nice to have a dry erase marker, Melanie placed one in my hand. She was prepared. She's like, I thought you might need one, so here, and just boom, right to my hand, and I had it. And I recently just killed it, ran it out like not too long ago.
What?
I was traveling with them, and every time I'd go into my little bag, because I also have a bag of supplies.
You should.
I would have my Flintco branded dry erase whiteboard marker that I was using all over the country for the last couple of years.
That's awesome. Yeah. Had our old logo on it, I think.
Yep, it did. Before the merger.
Man, I'll have to see if I can get you a new one. If I can find a new one, you're getting one in the mail.
Together.
Yeah. I'll go track one down. Let me get out my sticky notes.
Oh yeah.
Just write that down now.
Also have sticky notes on the ready as well.
Oh yeah.
You never know. I
don't know if you intended this to dive into a school supply, list, but like, let's be real.
Episode.
Having the right supplies is half. It makes for an easier meeting.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's also worthwhile. She's writing down that note, people. When Melly and I found out we were going to work together, it was like amazing, number one. And number two, I saw like some emails getting exchanged where she was making sure all the supplies were set ahead of time, so we would not be caught flat-footed without sticky notes and supplies. And it was like, oh my God, it's amazing.
Hey, shout out to Joy as well, who lady after my own heart. Like, yes. Joy, you know who you are. You were on the ball. I think she's more on the ball about supplies than I was.
Oh, I think Joy is more on the ball about details than even you and I are combined.
That is a true statement. So, okay, my last pro tip on school supplies: name tags, people.
Yes.
Travel with name tags.
I have just off camera, Melanie, based on your recommendation. I've been using name tags all month with the trainings I've been doing. Thanks to you.
Does it not make facilitation easier, if nothing else?
And it's not even so much for me, because I can remember 40 to 50 people's names in a room, as long as they
can't
switching. Yeah, but they can't. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's good for everyone to see. Because and people, if you're out there and you've ever gone to an event, even if you're at the same company or you're in the same organization, you don't know each other as well as you think you do. And having that first name tag just makes it so much easier to engage.
Yeah. And then everybody's got the same uniform on. Like, there's no judgment for, you can't remember people's names. Like, look, we're all getting older. Remembering people's names is hard.
It can be hard. If you think it's hard, it's hard. But if you think it's easy, then it's easy. It's easy.
It's hard for some people.
It's hard for some people. Yeah. Some people, just coming to work is hard.
True.
Yeah. For some people, being kind is a challenge and a difficulty because their default mode is a-hole.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate for them. Ooh, we could go deep down the philosophical path.
And as soon as I said that, I'm sure like everybody listening just Rolodex flash names and faces of like all the a-holes they have to work with on a daily basis, or sometimes they're in your own family. I mean, let's not just keep it to work. It could be anywhere.
It's true. It's an epidemic, some might say.
Another reason why I love Scrum so much, when Jeff wrote about why it's so effective and it works, using the framework helps to identify who the a-holes are, how a path to eliminate them, or just to get them to behave better.
I love that. You know, I enjoy Scrum immensely. Like the structured approach to it, like I really like it. Probably my favorite part is how all of a sudden, you know, you can take effort. Like everybody knows effort is required to accomplish tasks, but like being able to objectify that and give it a quantity, and like now I can compare it to other things. Like that's my favorite part about it. Like I love it. It's awesome.
Next level. Yeah. Another thing we haven't got. Surprise, people. Melanie and Felipe both like Scrum. Surprise. Not shocking.
Yeah, no, not at all. But it's awesome. Like
it is awesome.
It's helped me personally just try and keep a sustainable level of productivity, I should say, during the week, you know? Yeah. And so like I know if, you know, my weekly effort is above a certain range, like okay, I can do that for a week, but like that's not sustainable for me. And guess what, about 2 or 3 weeks of this higher output come about week 4 seems to be the trend from what I've observed over the past 12 months. Like I'm going to crash and it's going to be a terrible week, after being unsustainable for the weeks before. So it's been good for the mental health, I think.
Super good. Yeah, it's better to do just a touch less. I always tell people like, let's be selfish and lazy and use Scrum to our advantage to do as little as humanly possible. And when you do that, and it's like, you're laughing, it's funny, but when you do less, but you're being really conscientious about, is it necessary or not, more intentional, you end up just contributing much more value, and you can be more effective with way less effort.
Yes.
You do have a limit. Like all of us have, there's only so much we can show up with and do on a given day. There's only so much production, and to sustain it over a long time, like you said. And I love that you're experimenting over the last year with what your level is at.
Yeah.
I'll have to exchange notes on that later. I've got a chart.
Same. Charts, plural.
I have a before and after chart too.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good. I wish I had a before chart. That would be.
Meetings that I've been to with you in both training and at LCI events, which we've been on multiple LCI Congress planning committees.
Yes.
And champion reviews and all kinds of stuff. And where do you attribute like that decision for how you show up? Because the way you show up at anything, and people listening, if you ever get a chance, if you just see Melanie's name on something, you just need to be there. Like get yourself there. You will not be disappointed. But where does that enthusiasm come from for how you show up with so much positivity? Can you pinpoint it? Or
Aw, thank you. That's such a nice compliment. My natural sparkle.
Okay.
No, I think a lot of it is I want people to, at the end of the day, like personally, I want people to walk away, thinking that it was a valuable use of their time. And I always, for better or for worse, like I try and put myself in other people's shoes, or probably more, if I were in the audience, like what experience would I want to get out of it? And so like, it's a lot easier to, sit through a presentation where you're listening to somebody who has rehearsed what they're going to say, or, is passionate about what they're going to try. And I use presentations because I feel like that's a lot of what I do recently, but even, like a meeting, like a good agenda, where you've thought of, like, you've been deliberate about like, okay, here's how long I think this discussion should take. And here's, what a good discussion is. And we want to make sure we have time to recap our action items and have a plus delta. Make sure we set meeting ground rules, like set the basic niceties of meeting. Like, it just makes it a more valuable interaction. So I think if you come at it from that approach, and just try and have a little kindness for your fellow human beings, not necessarily like because you work with them, but because like it's just more enjoyable at the end of the day if you all like what you're doing, or you're not sitting through just another meeting. Like, why wouldn't you do that? So I guess that's, in a nutshell, that's the philosophy behind all the rest of it. So
you delivered in spades. Like I was wanting to see what is the underlying belief and philosophy for how you show up, and now I know, and I'm glad you shared it, because a lot of people don't put that much thought into like making just a meeting something like that can be positive, to get things done. And you touched on respect for people. Like, that is just a game changer. And that's why I said, like, every time I've shown up to something where you've been there, it's been that way. You've elevated all those interactions for me. And I keep telling Melanie, like, I have so much fun when we get to work together, we get to interact. And she's always like, almost like in disbelief. Like, like I said at the beginning of the show, like, I've been a fan of Melanie since before she really knew who I was, like, instantly, because of how she shows up. And if you get a chance to go to anything she's doing, you have to go, because you will see exactly what I'm talking about, what I've been experiencing every time. And even what you mentioned on, like, in a meeting, getting the ground rules for how we're going to talk to each other. I saw you do that recently, and we went through that, and people really felt like open, like people opened up, and we heard things. And the owner had commented, like, I heard feedback from the executives multiple times. The owner said, I've never seen a team come together this soon, this early. And we're talking about an owner with like 20 plus years of experience. That's thousands of projects, billions of dollars worth of experience. And they said they've never seen a team come together like this. And when I went back through what could be causing this level of interaction, it wasn't that the team was just meeting like 5 days a week, because a lot of teams do that.
Yeah.
It was how you set this environment, and people really just opened up, and then we heard collaboration happening, and we've got to witness it. And it was just like magical. I mean, I probably have like, something I can hit on the, for that. It was like when the architects all sitting at the same table started talking to other designers and asking the contractors questions.
Yeah.
And the contractors standing up in the plus delta, because of course Melanie made sure we did a plus delta.
Absolutely. It's non-negotiable.
One of the contractors said, this is the first time I've ever been invited to something at this early in, and it was valuable for me. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, that was way cool. And this was a guy who, didn't talk a whole lot in the meeting, but just the fact that he was there and had all that context, I think, was super. So don't just assume, if this person isn't going to have a speaking role, that it's not valuable. You could always ask them, what do you think? Would your attendance here be valuable or not?
Right.
Like, let them make the decision. But from a very practical standpoint, on meeting ground rules, that's another one of those things. Like, anytime I've eliminated it, I've always been sorry. Let's say, like, it's even, let's say you're in a single wide trailer, and you've got, 5 foremen who have never been to any sort of, lean meeting before or whatever. Like, everybody has been through a bad meeting. And so just getting them to like open up, and you get to know people's names that way, and here's what their pet peeve is. Like, it's a great way to start the conversation and get people engaged. And you come out of it with like, here's the expected behavior as professionals. Not.
Been to a lot of meetings too, Melanie, where we bring people in to this meeting environment, and some of them have really, it could be their first time being with that group of people and mix, and they don't know like what's acceptable behavior, what's not. We call that cultural norms, project team norms, and those things are invisible. You don't know what they are until after the fact. And if you just set the rules, you create some boundary conditions, then people can, oh, I know how to act now, and they can be very successful, and they can be more creative and flexible and contribute at a higher level. But
Yeah.
if you just assume that they know what to do, then you're planning to fail.
Yes. Don't just assume, period.
Exactly.
Just make that a blanket statement. Like,
Ask questions. Do what Melanie
Yeah.
does. Just
Yeah.
ask questions.
like I just want to know. Like, just think of it that way. Like, I just want to confirm, just want to know, like all of these things. Here's something else I wish were a norm, where like more people had set standards for email etiquette.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my God.
right? Like,
Right.
I think that's the next revolution. Like, okay, we have in-person meeting ground rules, like some standardization around email etiquette. I could totally get behind. You know, for one thing, use your subject line, people. No vague subject lines. Like, let's be clear on what you're asking for.
Yeah. If it's a request, put the request in the subject line.
Yeah. Like, I won't be offended, I promise. Like, help a sister out.
Yeah, we only have so much time in the day, and like I can only hit delete so many times on my keyboard before it just becomes annoying.
Yes. True statement.
I want to ask you, as part of just getting this out into the ethos, because you have so much experience. I think I'd be a fail to the audience if we didn't pick
Ooh.
Rain because of your expertise and just your tremendous amount of success. Like, let's not downplay that for a second. Very successful. Melanie, what do you say to people that when they hear the word lean, they kind of get scared, or they have some apprehensions because they might have seen something? What do you say to them when you get a sense that they think lean's a bad thing?
I'm sure this will come as a shock at this point. My default is actually to ask them like more specifics. You know, was it a bad experience, or, you know, like just try and dive a little bit more into that experience, and then try and transition it to, well, here's how we approach it. Like, I've obviously worked for Flintco, so like I'm gonna, focus on like, here's how we approach it at Flintco.
Oh, it's on your shirt.
Gotta represent, like, team jersey right here.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like, I think getting an understanding of what about it is, are they apprehensive because it just seems new and unfamiliar, and they've been on a journey where there's been 10 different initiatives, and like, oh my gosh, I just can't take another corporate initiative that's going to die in a year, like, because that was their previous experience? Or is it they previously worked on a project where it was a poor experience, and so then you can kind of, okay, now that I understand like what the potential pitfalls are, like now we can talk about like, well, here's how this is different. But at the end of the day, like the thing that I always fall back on, like, this is my personal approach. This is how I hope we are as a company approaching it at Flintco. This is what I see is like, if we're not adding value to what we're doing, and especially if there's anything that any process, practice, documentation, whatever we're doing that we call lean, that you don't feel like is adding value, like, I want to know about it, because everything that we do should add value, but particularly like if it has lean as a term, like it should be adding value. So if it's not, like, that's an opportunity for improvement, or maybe that's I can explain like, here's why I think it values, and like I want to know from you if you don't think that it is. An example that comes to mind, we do a monthly survey. We ask all of our lean projects to submit a self-assessment on how are you doing meeting the minimum standards for each of our 5 standard practices that we expect to be put in place, and then there's some other like supplementary questions to that. And it has been growing in length for some time, as we have tried to narrow in on, okay, if we ask more pointed questions, or maybe this question serves as a reminder. And of course, we're getting a lot of feedback that says like, oh, it used to be 10 questions and now it's 50. yeah, which like I hear you loud and clear, but then that hopefully offers up a conversation, to talk about like, well, here's why we're asking those questions, and here's how we can use this data, not only to look at how to help you guys on the project, but also to help everybody at the company, or everybody within the area office. Like, here's the global view of that. And if you can explain like your point of view, as long as you're willing to be open-minded and hear, you know, hey, I hear you, like I want to be challenged. Like I think that's at least showing respect for people, and you get some really good ideas out of it. So like, why would you not do that, you know? So long-winded answer, like if we're not adding, the short answer to how I would answer that question is like, if we're not adding value to anything that we call lean, then we need to do something about it. There's an opportunity for improvement there. Or we need to fix it, you know?
Yes. Absolutely love that answer. The long and the short. I like how people listening, in my mind, I was tracing like a little PDCA flywheel loop, and Melanie
always
through the loop. I saw her, like she did a quick little feedback check herself and then gave you the value added summary. value delivered, more value delivery. Melanie, it has been my absolute pleasure and honor having you join me on the show to share your insights, wisdom, nuggets, knowledge, enthusiasm, and positivity. I want to give you the last words, thinking about, for the people listening that have spent this beautiful, glorious hour with us, what's something you want to leave them thinking about as they go off and start their day or continue on what they're doing?
Ooh, that's okay. I gotta ponder that for a minute. I guess I would say this goes for anything, whether it's a lean practice, a new skill, something you want to try with a team. Like, just go do it. Like, there is no substitute for learning by doing. That is absolutely, like, if you have a great idea, like, just go test it out. So this was from Congress a couple years ago, but it's posted. I don't know. Can you see that at all?
Yeah, there's nothing is a mistake. There's no win and no fail. There's only make.
Yeah. So this was a keynote speaker, the guy from, I think, IDEO and Amazon Web Services. Yeah. Forget your name. I'm really sorry. But like, it's been posted. Like, for me, I've, been stuck in this, like, I hate failing, everybody does, right? But going into it with this approach, like, no, the only way you're going to get better is probably to fail and to make mistakes and to learn from that, regardless of what it is. Just try and keep that in mind. So whatever you're apprehensive about doing, just get started.
Just go make.
Yeah.
Very special thanks to my guest. I'm Felipe Engineer Manriquez. The EBFC show is created by Felipe and produced by a passion to build easier and better. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, everybody. Let's go build.